be talking all about AutoCAD 2020 today. And so for those of you who have already downloaded it and are using it, this will give you a chance to see what the new tools are. And hopefully I can convince you to try some of the new tools because I really like them. And for those of you who haven't made the move yet, this will give you a chance to see some of the new features inside of the latest release of AutoCAD so you can make that executive decision, which apparently you have to make in like 3 days to get that deal. So our timing for the webinar is good. It is a good deal. I do know that. All right, so taking a look at AutoCAD and the way this presentation is going to go, to me, it's broken up into 3 different sections. There's the latest enhancements, so that's where I'm going to be showing you the newest features that are inside of the product that you all use every day. And then we'll talk about those specialized tool sets where the verticals have been included in AutoCAD 2020. And then I'll also spend a little bit of time talking about AutoCAD Web and the mobile apps, which is also included in subscription for those of you who are participating in that, all right? So let's start off with, I like starting off with the cool new features that were added. And there's some cool ones, let me just say. So the first one I'm going to talk about is Purge, all right? So hopefully you guys are using the Purge command, right, to clean up your drawings. Some of you are more fanatical than others, I know how you are. And one of the frustrating things about the Purge command in the past has been that there were certain items that we could not purge, and yet we had no idea why. So there was like not really, it gave us a little bit of information, but it wasn't absolutely clear. Maybe there were some objects on a layer that you couldn't delete, for example, but you're like, well, where are the objects? What objects? I want to get rid of those objects, must die. I want to get rid of them. And so you'll be really happy if you find that kind of thing frustrating like I do. You're going to love the fact that they updated Purge so that it's very clear why you can't get rid of certain items, and it will actually zoom in on the objects that are causing your distress, which I think is fantastic. So then if you wanted to, you could delete those objects and then you could purge the layer, for example. So let's take a look. I'm not going to, in the beginning here, we'll spend a little bit more time in AutoCAD than we're going to spend inside of PowerPoint. I'm sure that will make you happy. And so this is AutoCAD 2020. And let's say I want to clean up this particular drawing, right? I want to make sure it's all nice and squeaky clean. I don't want stuff in it that I don't need to have in it. So you can go into the Purge command, which used to be underneath the application menu. Now you'll actually see that there are tools on the Manage tab on the ribbon. Here you'll see Find Non-Purgeable Items, a great big huge tool. I think that's just, they did that just because it's new. But let's just go into regular Purge, which you could also type in, of course. So here's the Purge command. Now, what's new about it? There's a few things. You'll see there's 2 sections: purgeable items, find non-purgeable items. That's nice. You'll also see in the past you had, it gave you the option to purge zero length geometry and empty text objects. You had to pick both. It was only one option there. Now you'll see that you can decide which ones you want to get rid of. If that matters to you, you just get rid of all of it. So I don't think that necessarily was a big deal to me, but for some of you, perhaps it is. And then you also have the ability to see the things in more detail that you can purge, which is nice. There's a nice big preview box. You know, I can see I can get rid of that, I can get rid of that. And just a little bit easier to work with. But of course, the important one is this find non-purgeable items. What? I love that. So you can get previews here as well. So you could say, oh, what's that? Or what's that? I can't get rid of any of those. And it tells you you can't get rid of it because it's being referenced, right? And for example, if I say, let's see about this dryer, you'll actually see that you have the ability to come down here. I'm going to do this a different example, but you can click on here and it will zoom in on this one instance of this dryer. So then if you wanted to, once again, you could delete it. Now, what we usually run into problems with are layers, right? That's where we get frustrated when we can't get rid of a layer that we want to get rid of. And we're like, why can't I get rid of this layer? And you turn off all the other layers and you can't see anything on the layer. You're like, I don't get it. What's the deal? So you're going to love this new option here to find the non-purgeable items, and I'll show you why. So I created intentionally a layer which I have named Evil Layer. I want to get rid of Evil Layer. And it says this layer can't be purged because it's being used. See details below. There's 5 point objects on that layer. What? I want to see, where are they? Oh, well, depending on your point display mode, you might not be able to see those, right? Those are sneaky. That's very, very sneaky. So you can see right there that it found those points, it zoomed in on them, and then they're selected. I could technically, go into the erase command and delete them, and then I could go back into the purge command, and now, right, it would let me purge them. So that's amazing. I love that. And in case you don't know what I'm talking about with points, just to make sure we're on the same page, points are these little, these little objects that you can insert. Here's the little points, if you've ever inserted them, but you should know that by default, if you look at the point style, they defaulted these little dots, and that's why you probably couldn't see them. They're just 1 pixel in size. It could be worse. They could be set to that, which is nothing. You wouldn't see them at all, right? Good luck purging those. I prefer to work with points as big X's so I can see them. And in case you also ever wondered, how do you snap to a point? That's the node object snap. You probably wondered to yourself, what is that node object snap for? It's to snap to points. Anyway, points are gone. I can purge that layer, and the world is a beautiful place. And as mentioned, underneath the Manage tab on the ribbon, if you want to, you can go straight to Find Non-Purgeable Items, and then Purge is on there as well. It's actually the exact same command. It just goes to a different tab in the command, but they were so excited about it, they gave it a great big huge tool, which is fine. It'll be easy to find. So that's the updated Purge, which I think is fantastic. That's going to save some headaches, less banging your head against the wall. I'm going to go on to DWG Compare. All right, so this feature came out inside of AutoCAD 2019, and I thought it was great, but there's always room for improvement, right? So they have, in fact, improved it inside of AutoCAD 2019. One of the big wish list requests was when you compared 2 drawings, they wanted you to be able to be inside one of the drawings so that you can make changes to it. I'll show you what I'm talking about there. So I'm sure you've been in a situation where you had 2 drawings, maybe even with the same name, but in 2 different directories, or 2 different drives, or different places on the network, whatever the scenario. And you're like, oh, what's the difference between this drawing and that drawing? How are you going to find out? Well, there has been no easy way to do that inside of AutoCAD. There's been other ways of doing it. There's design review, there's third-party software, there's BIM 360 has some capabilities of doing that as well. But inside of native vanilla AutoCAD, no way couldn't do it. So now, big wish list request, you can actually do this, and I'll show you what the changes are to it. All right. So I thought they did a great job in 2019. They made it even better inside of AutoCAD 2020. So just when you thought it couldn't be. And I love the fact it's easy. I'm all about that. It's very low stress. So let's say I have this drawing right here, first floor plan version 1, and I found out that there's a version 2. Well, what's the difference between the 2 of them? So I'm going to go to the Collaborate tab on the ribbon, which kind of makes me chuckle, because if we were truly collaborating, we would not need DWG Compare. We would all be on the same page. We would know what was going on, but that's okay. It's all right. That's an easy way for you to remember where it is, though. You're going to remember where it is now because I said that. So here is DWG Compare. There's only 2 tools on here. Both of these tools came out in 2019. DWG Compare. And then it says, all right, so it's going to assume that you want to compare the current drawing, okay, with, and then you're going to pick what the other drawing is. Here's my version 2. And I'm going to open that up. And you will actually see, if you take a look at the screen, you will see that most of the drawing is gray. Now, if I come over here, I have a little chart, and this is actually easier to understand than it was in 2019. It wasn't totally clear in 2019. It says, oh, that means there's no differences between the 2 drawings if they're gray. That means that part's exactly the same. But the difference is anything that's red is not in the current drawing. Anything that's green is only in the current drawing. And incidentally, you can change these colors if you don't like the colors. You can come in and you can decide, oh, I wish it was magenta, or whatever the situation is. Whatever makes you happy. So you'll see that it changed it to magenta. Whatever colors work with your background, and so on and so forth. And then you'll also see that you can turn off certain things. I don't want to see what's only in the current drawing. I only want to see what's not. So I turned off everything that was green. Or I just want to see what's in the current drawing. Or excuse me, you get the general idea. And you can also, what you might want to do is turn off where the no differences options, just to get all that out of the way so you can hone in on what the differences are. I think that is actually pretty valuable. You also have control over the draw order. You can decide what's on top and what's not. You can see now I've decided that the knot in the current drawing is on top and vice versa. Now, I prefer to work with light colors on a light background. I do presentations all the time, and it's very difficult to see the dark background. Consequently, there are revision clouds on here, but they're super hard to see. So I just want you to know that if you also prefer to work with a light background, you're going to probably want to change the color of the revision clouds to something that is easier for you to see. Let's make that green. No, we already have green color. Well, let's make that red. Who cares? Pick whatever. That's kind of orange, really. But it's a little bit easier to see. Okay, so very difficult to see the yellow, I'm going to tell you that. So you can control these and change them any way you want, whatever makes you happy. So also, please note there are filters on here. Right now, I did not tell it to compare the hatching. You can decide if you wanted to compare hatching. It is actually comparing text, but that's up to you as well. So you can turn these filters on and off. Maybe you don't want it to pay any attention to hatching, or maybe you want it to not pay attention to text, whatever the situation is. All right, so let's talk about these revision clouds. Right now, the revision clouds are set to rectangular. Now, when they're set to rectangular, they can be huge. Like I have a great big huge revision cloud up here that's covering everything that's in that area. And there could be a lot of things I missed because the revision cloud, might as well just put a big revision cloud around the whole drawing. There's changes in here. I don't find rectangular as valuable as this other option of polygonal. Now I want to make sure you understand that you say that polygonal. As a math major, the Autodesk videos say polygonal, which is very disturbing to me. So it's polygonal, just so you know. And now to me, that hones in on the changes much better than that big, huge, massive rectangular revision cloud. And you can also control the size. If for some reason you're going to print this out, you can make these bigger, smaller. I usually just leave them at the default. All right, so I still would like to get a better, clear view as to what these changes actually are, what the differences are. So you can actually arrow through here and it will zoom in on the various changes between the two drawings. And see, like I might have missed that one if I hadn't switched it over to polygonal. And as I go through here, I might run into a situation where I'm like, oh, you know, this one is not in the current drawing. I really wish that it was. I'd like to just really quickly bring it in. This is new in 2020. I love this. So now you have the ability, there is an option here for, and pause so you can see the tooltip, import objects. What? Import objects. And then I'm going to come over here and select that. And now it turns gray. Why does it turn gray? Because it's one of those that is no difference. It's now included in this drawing, and there's no difference between this and the other drawing, so it turns gray, right? So very, very impressive. I love the way this, so if there's something missing and you want to bring it in, it's easy enough to do that. I think that's fantastic. And what else have I got on here? This is nice. This is an option to export this snapshot that we're looking at, because you probably don't want to keep this in your drawing file, right? It's going to mess your drawing file up. If I click on this, and this is the way 2019 worked, incidentally, the comparison results will be combined into a new comparison snapshot drawing. All right, so I'm going to say continue, and it's going to create a new drawing file, and it is going to be called Compare First Floor Version 1 with First Floor Version 2. I'm going to save that. So there you have it. So you can actually open that file up and you can take a look at that file, and you can send that file to somebody if you want to, so that you could say, hey, take a look at this file because you'll see that there's differences between version 1 and version 2. I need you to fix it, or whatever the situation is. So it created this other file. You can also, if you want to, you can, of course, turn it all off and go back to normal if you want to. Let's go back over here. There's our other drawing file. This is the new one, okay? This is the new one that you could send to somebody. This is the old one. And now that I'm back in the old one, I want to turn DWG Compare off. Let's go ahead and click on, I want to turn this off. It goes away. I'm back to normal now, but you can bring it back anytime you want to. And if you're completely done with the drawing compare, you just click on that little arrow and it goes away. It's not really arrow, check mark, and it goes away. Now we're definitely all back to normal. Okay, so I think that's a really helpful feature. I love the way they did it. It's very simple, very straightforward. You can actually pin that palette that you saw on the left-hand side. You can pin that to your screen if you want to. There's a variety of things you can do as far as the user interface, but that's pretty straightforward. I like it. It's not complex, not complicated. All right, here we go. Remember, this is the comparison one. It's still, see, here's the pin. This guy is still in comparison mode, but the original drawing that I was using to compare is not. But you can turn it back on anytime you want to and compare it to whatever drawing you want to. All right, let's go back over to the PowerPoint. I love the way they did it. I think they did a good job. I'm all about simple, low stress. And here's the controls. Here's just a nice little chart. And I'm happy to send this file, to get this file to Annalisa. So if you guys want to have access to this PowerPoint, you're welcome to do so. I think this kind of comes in handy. It tells you what the various settings are that you have available to you when you're using Drawing Compare. But you guys are smart. You can figure it out. Even without this, you can figure it out because they did a nice job of making it very user-friendly. All right, let's talk about blocks. This is kind of a fan favorite inside of AutoCAD 2020. So we insert blocks all the time, and Autodesk is continually trying to make it easier for you to insert blocks inside of AutoCAD. And they've taken it one step further where they have created a palette, just like tool palettes. Some of you have customized and made your own tool palettes. Now it's basically doing it for you. And I think they did it also. I sound repetitive. I'm sorry, they're paying me for me each time I say I like a new feature. They're not. I swear they're not. I'm independent. But nevertheless, I do think they did a good job at this one too, because it's simple, low stress. Here you upgrade. I don't like it when things are really complicated and hard to figure out, and this is all going to come naturally to you. So let's take a look at how they did this. I'll have to find something wrong with it so I don't sound so Pollyanna. So I'm going to use this particular drawing. Let's go to the model for now. And I'm going to insert some blocks. Now, in the past, maybe you went to the Insert tab on the ribbon, and maybe you used this gallery. In case you didn't know what that's called, it's called a gallery. You can do this even if you're not in AutoCAD 2020 to use that gallery. You can drag and drop blocks and bring it in. But you'll actually see with AutoCAD 2020, if you come down here and you select on recent blocks, that's new, or blocks from other drawing, or if you just type in I for insert, which is, I know what a lot of you do, it is no longer going to give you the old insert command. It's going to give you this block palette. So let's take a look at this block palette. Now, I'm also going to tell you, you can get the old insert command back if this is stressing you out. But let me try to win you over with this new block palette first. All right, so not to worry. So what am I looking at right now? You'll see there's 3 tabs. Right now, these are the blocks in my current drawing. So for example, let me scoot this over a little bit. If I wanted to bring a table in, it's just as simple as dragging and dropping, right? And I can, once again, I can add more plants if I'm into plants. I like plants. So you're just literally dragging and dropping these blocks into place. Of course, you can change the scale factor. Of course, you can tell it you want it to prompt you for rotation. Like in that case, it didn't prompt me for rotation. Let's do another one where I turn that on just so we're all on the same page. You'll see this time when I insert it, it asked me what direction I want it to go, right? Like you care what direction that plant goes, right? And let's see what else. I'm going to show you repeat placement in just a minute, but I love that. That's for when you want to insert the same block over and over and over and over again, and you don't want to keep hitting enter to go back in, which is really annoying, and answering all those questions. This will literally just allow you to continue to place the same object, same size, everything over and over and over again, which I think is fabulous. And I don't think this is fabulous. There's way too many ways for you to explode blocks, which does make me a little nervous. And all you CAD managers are right now quivering. That's all right, but you just so you know, you can tell it when it's inserted, it's exploded. And I also noticed that if you do a right click on any of these tools, you can insert and explode. So there's a lot of easy ways to blow up your blocks, which is kind of defeating the whole purpose of blocks. But so, see, I did find something negative. How's that? There's always a little bit of a negative. But nevertheless, hopefully you have your CAD users so well trained they would never do that. So what else have I got? That's the current drawing. And I also have, recently, any blocks I recently used show up on this palette. So it's really easy for you to find them again, which I think is great. And incidentally, for any one of these, there are filters. And it's the old-fashioned filter, by the way. Hopefully you know your asterisk. So if I wanted everything that started with the word plant, let's backspace, plant. I want you to see nothing shows up unless it actually is the word plant until I put that asterisk there. So then it would show me all the blocks that started with the word plant. And if you don't remember your old wildcards, if I did it like this, let's see, it has the word bed in it. So there was one block that has the word bed in it. That's everything. So it can start with anything, but it has the word bed in it. So you're gonna have to brush up on your wildcards. I'll do another whole presentation on wildcards. Other than that, you just have to go through and find them. In this case, there's only a few blocks. So you don't need to use wildcards. But when you go to other drawings, wildcards might actually come in handy. So this is a different drawing file. And you can, if you're wondering how it says other drawing, you can go to any other drawing to open blocks from any other drawing. All you do is click on those three dots, ellipses as they're called, and then you pick the drawing file that you want to work with. I already have it open, so I don't need to do that. But nevertheless, I could come in here. Let's see what happens again if I do asterisk plant. So that's just one. How about, let's see, anything that starts with a 1. You'll see I get a few. Can you see how the wildcards are working there? You only need to be able to interpret filters and do filters if you have just a massive drawing with tons of blocks. So let's go back. I'm going to actually jump back over here to paper space. And let's insert some more. And because I want to show you this repeat placement. There's kind of a fun block down here, this shrub. The shrub makes me happy. So boom, you can see it doesn't ask me for anything else. It just allows me, it's like a multiple copy, basically, to bring that in. Look how pretty. Escape. Stops it. That makes sense. Let's see what else. There was another kind of cool plant that I was looking at, right? Did I mention I like plants? And it's still on repeat. So it stays on repeat until you turn it off. Keep that in mind. But it's super easy to work with. All right. So the block palette has a lot of capabilities in it. It's very simple to use. And oh, incidentally, if you are somebody who's using the ribbon, if I drop insert down, and you click on recent blocks, what does it do? It just goes to the block palette to the recent tab. And so it's going to open the block palette for you as well. Or if you go to blocks from other drawings, it goes to the other drawing tab. Easy, easy, easy. Once again, very simple. Everybody's going to be able to figure it out. And I actually think new users to AutoCAD are going to have an easier time when it comes to inserting blocks than they've had in the past. All right, let's go back over to our PowerPoint. So I also included for you a list of commands that have to do with the block palette, because I think it's really important that you understand what's happening. Now, I will tell you that if you have script files that you have running that have the insert command in them, it's going to use the old insert, just so you know. So that's okay. That's good to know. But if you type in I for insert now, it opens the block palette. If you want the old insert command, maybe you want to modify that in your menu, maybe whatever reason you don't like the block palette, then there is a new command called classic insert. It's a big long command, but you could put that back in the menu and it would act just, you could redefine the new insert command so that it does its classic insert. There's a lot of ways around this if for some reason you don't think the block palette is awesome, which I think it's awesome. And of course, as always, you can always do the command line version of the classic insert command by putting a dash in front of it. That's never going to change. And there's a few new commands. I didn't put them all on here. Blocks palette definitely opens the blocks palette regardless of what settings you've got going on. There's a blocks palette close. Why am I telling you this? If you guys are into Lisp or you're into script files, you're going to need to know these. And if for some reason you care about the number of blocks that are displayed in that recent tab, then there's this crazy command, block MRU list. I'm sure you'll remember that. Right? You can, but you can control it. You don't want it to get too long, so you can control that. There is a default setting. All right, moving along. Quick measure. Another great command. Where has this been command been all my life? If you are a CAD manager or if you have to check other people's drawings, it's very frustrating to check distances all the time, and because you have to keep going back into the command. So quick measure basically just it's kind of like that awesome new one-stop dimensioning command that came out a few releases ago, but it basically just turns it on so that as you move your cursor around, it's constantly checking a variety of distances and angles and values like for circles and things like that, for radius, and it just has a lot of information that just shoots at you very quickly, and you have control over that. And let's take a look. This should save you time if you have to check drawings. Did I mention I like the way they did that one too? I can't say that because you guys are going to think there's something wrong with me. All right, let's go back to model space over here. And I'm going to close the block palette, banish the block palette there. And how are we going to do this? We're going to go to the Home tab on the ribbon. And here is the measure command, which, as you know, is really the measure geom command. That's actually different from the measure command. And there's a new option for quick. It's very simple. You just click on that. Now look, there's like a party going on in my drawing file. As I move my cursor around, you'll see that it's showing me dimensions as I move. What else have I got going on here? If I come over here, it's giving me some angles. It's 108 degrees, 72 degrees, no surprise. Angle of incidence equals angle of reflection. If you see anything, I don't know if you can see this right above my cursor, there's a right there in that corner. That indicates it's a 90-degree angle. You'll see there's a bunch of boxes on the screen, right? 90-degree angles going on. And let's see, what else is going on? You don't want to be zoomed out too far or you'll get a headache. You want to zoom in so you can really estimate what these different values are. But see, look at all the squares in there because, of course, those are all 90-degree angles. Come over here, same deal. But there's just a lot of value here that's being thrown at you very quickly, but that you have the ability to then go, oh, it's, that's wrong. Or the dimension says it's 5, but it's actually 4.9999. You'd be able to check that pretty quickly. There's other ways of doing that too, by the way. That's another tip for another time. So how do you turn it off? You just hit escape or hit enter and it goes away. It'd be nice to me if it was a toggle I could just turn on anytime I wanted to, maybe next release, but it's still pretty easy to get to it. If I was using it all the time, I would put it on the quick access toolbar, and hopefully you guys know how to do that, right? You just right click, add to quick access toolbar. So I could get to it from anywhere. I wouldn't have to always go to the home tab on the ribbon to turn it on and off. If for some reason you like to check things a lot as you're moving along, just something for you to think about. Okay, back over to the PowerPoint. So there are some performance improvements. You should see when you're doing just some basic things like saving, that it's faster inside of AutoCAD 2020, and which we always love. Installing is a lot faster. And you'll also see, for those of you with solid state hard drives, that the install time, even if you don't have a solid state hard drive, it's faster, but it's a lot faster if you have a solid state hard drive, right? So there's that. That's good. We always like it when things are faster. And they did improve upon the dark theme. For those of you who have the dark interface, and just so you know, the reason that they put that dark theme in to begin with is because it's been proven that gray is easier on your eyes when you're staring at it all day than the light colors like I have. So something for you to think about. It's I know when it first came out, people kind of freaked out, but it was really in your best interest, especially if you're someone who's using AutoCAD all day long. You might consider trying to move over to that dark theme. So there have been complaints in the past. It was kind of hard to distinguish between the drawing area and the ribbon. They've worked on that, tried to make the icons sharper. So for those of you who are working on the dark theme, you should have a better experience. And they also, if you are using a contextual tab like mText, or if you go into Hatch, how it adds that extra contextual tab, it's been kind of difficult to see exactly what tab you're on the ribbon. So if you take a look at this, you'll see now it's going to be highlighted. Even if you're not using the dark color, it'll be highlighted so it's really clear that you are on this contextual tab. I think that's important. Also, once again, for new users, you're like, what's happening right now? Where did that come from? How come I can't get to it again? And then I kind of joke in that, to me, one of my favorite user interface enhancements was, and this came out in 2019, is that trim actually is back to a pair of scissors. I can actually tell the difference between trim and extend, which I'm sorry, that makes me really happy. How many times have you accidentally clicked on the wrong icon? You thought you were in trim, but you were actually in extend because they looked almost exactly the same. So I was pretty happy when they converted it to scissors. I know a lot of people who had already drawn it as scissors or used an icon for scissors. So, hey, it's the little things, right? It's the little things. If it keeps you from misstepping on a click, that's a beautiful thing. What else have you got? So a lot of us use Dropbox or Box or OneDrive, whatever the scenario is, and you will find that, actually I can actually show you on mine. Let's show you on mine. So if I were to go into open, right? I type everything in. Don't be like me, be better than me. You can see I'm linked to my Dropbox. There's OneDrive. So you have the ability to very easily add places. Hopefully you already know how to do that. There's a variety of ways of doing that. But that you can now add Dropbox and these other methodologies to get to your drawing files very quickly, which I love. Because who keeps things on their hard drive anymore, right? You're like saying, I do. I heard you say I do. Actually, while I'm here, I want to show you this. Open from WEBMobile and save to WEBMobile. Did I get rid of it? Here it is. Save to. Look at, I added my power trim command in there. It's my own fault. And here's save to WEBMobile, because we're going to talk about that. But while I'm in here, let's take a look at, so you see what I'm talking, so you know what I'm referring to. All right, let's talk about the specialized tool sets, because I think that these are so valuable. So in the past, of course, if you used AutoCAD Architecture, AutoCAD Mechanical, AutoCAD MEP, whatever the scenario was, you paid an additional fee to be able to use those products. They were more expensive. But with AutoCAD 2019, and of course now with 2020, you have access to all those tool sets as long as you're a subscriber. And I want to make sure that you're aware of that. The first thing, well, actually the second thing, is these are all the tool sets that are available to you. So if any of these are your industry, man, I really think you should be using those particular specialized tools. If you're an MEP, you should be using AutoCAD for MEP. If you're not using Revit, right? There's Map 3D. We'll talk about each one of these. I'll also say that the coolest product in here, one of the coolest ones in here, is this top secret raster design that you have available to you as long as you're a subscriber, and it's awesome. So I'm going to talk to you about what it does. It's top secret, I'm telling you. It's a big deal when they put all these tool sets together. So the advantages of using these tool sets is that they're smarter than regular AutoCAD. You know, they're specialized for a specific industry, and they come with all these libraries. They have a bunch of symbols, and they have automation involved that can help you get your jobs done faster. And then it's still familiar because you're still in the AutoCAD interface. You don't have to freak out that you have to totally change your interface. You feel comfortable from the get-go. And the workflows can help you be much more efficient and save you a lot of time. It's what I kind of meant with the automation earlier. It does, I mean, like, it makes layers for you and populates things. It puts things on the right layers, and it's just really, really smart. Now, when Autodesk said that they included specialized tool sets, immediately everybody thought we were going to get, like, I don't know, a bunch of palettes inside of our regular AutoCAD. So I want to make sure you understand that's not the case. These are actually separate installs, because I don't feel like that's ever been made really clear. So let's say you want to use AutoCAD Architecture, you have to also install AutoCAD Architecture or AutoCAD Mechanical or Raster Design. They're separate installs altogether. Actually, Raster Design does run inside of AutoCAD, but the rest of these are all separate programs. So you don't want to install them all, because your hard drive is going to blow up. You're only going to install the ones that you're going to use, just so you know. So I'm going to run through them really quickly because we have a bunch of different people from a bunch of different industries on this webinar. So, you know, probably the most popular of them all is AutoCAD Architecture, and I love AutoCAD Architecture. It comes with a whole, it's much smarter than regular AutoCAD. Of course, it's focused on the world of architecture, hence the name. Instead of drawing lines, arcs, and circles, you are actually inserting objects. I mean, how do you draw a floor plan? You're going to draw a polyline, and then you're going to offset it, and then you're going to insert a block of a door, then you have to trim it out. I mean, we have a lot of tedious steps with generic AutoCAD. Not with AutoCAD Architecture. There's a wall command, and all you have to do is go in and tell it the information for the wall. You know, how thick do you want it to be? How tall do you want it to be? And then it inserts this great wall automatically in 3D. And then you want to insert a door? No problem. Pick what size door you want, insert it, it trims it out automatically. It's so easy to use. And I will also say that for those of you who are thinking about making the move to BIM, It's easier to go from AutoCAD Architecture to Revit than it is to go from AutoCAD to Revit. So if you're not quite ready to take the plunge, which I think you should, but let's say you're not ready to make the move to Revit, definitely try AutoCAD Architecture. It'll get you into the world of dealing with objects. It's going to get you into a similar mindset to the way Revit works, and it's, you know, it's a step in the right direction. And so that's my 2 cents worth on AutoCAD Architecture. It's very, very valuable. Look, it comes with 8,000 objects that you don't have to make. You can take credit for them if you want, but you don't have to make them. So it essentially comes with a boatload of blocks. And then AutoCAD Mechanical, all right? For those of you who are, maybe you're working with someone who's using Inventor, maybe you're using Inventor, it's obviously focused on manufacturing and mechanical. It comes with 700,000 parts, features, and symbols that you don't have to create. It's also a great way for you to insert your 3D solid models, maybe from Inventor. You can import it from other software as well. And then you can do the 2D documentation inside of AutoCAD Mechanical. It does a great job at balloons and bill of materials and has much better mechanical dimensioning tools. So it has a lot of power there. And I'm not going to spend too much time on all of these, but you know, electrical, same idea. It comes with a whole boatload of electrical symbols, wire numbering, component tagging, coil and contact cross-referencing, and it keeps track of parent-child contacts in real time. It has a lot of tools specifically, of course, for those of you who are into electrical. And it also works well with Inventor. Okay. Map 3D. I used to work with someone at Autodesk who always told me this was the top secret product that nobody knows about. It has the ability for more than one person to work in an AutoCAD drawing at a time. And it's not just using XREFs. It's a pretty powerful program. But for those of you who are into GIS, definitely take a look at Map 3D. And then MEP, same idea. If you're not ready to make the move to Revit MEP, why not use AutoCAD MEP? Comes with a boatload of symbols, and it has some great workflows that will help you cut down on the amount of time it takes for you to do your MEP drawings. Got a bunch of HVAC and all kinds of good stuff in there. Right. You can easily design ductwork and all kinds of good stuff. Plant 3D, we're almost done. Plant 3D, same idea if you do PNIDs. So many people use AutoCAD, of course, for designing plants and not the green ones. And this gives you the ability to kind of kick it up a notch, and those things that you are using AutoCAD for just become easier. All right, now the one that you can all use, Raster Design, regardless of your industry. What the heck is Raster Design? Okay, I know that you have in your office probably either some drawings that were done on AutoCAD such a long time ago, you don't have the DWG. Who knows where the DWG is? Or you have some paper drawings, right, that you have some older drawings before CAD, and you need to, or you have drawings from someone else, or who knows what the scenario is, but you need to get those drawings into AutoCAD. Well, how are you going to do it? Okay, you can import a PDF, but only if that PDF came from AutoCAD to begin with and have it be converted to AutoCAD objects. So that's not going to work for you. If you have a scanned drawing and you bring that in as a PDF, it's only going to be viable as an underlay. So this is where Raster Design comes into place. So you can bring those scanned drawings in, and it will help you convert those raster images into DWG objects, right? It recognizes text. It's going to help you convert lines to lines or polylines, you know, take your pick. It does some amazing cleanup. It despeckles. It does. It can mirror. Now I will also tell you that if you have a great big huge round coffee stain on your paper, guess what? That's going to come in too. Or a great big huge heavy fold in the paper, that's going to be a new line in your drawing file. But nevertheless, this is so much easier than drawing the drawing from scratch. So something for you to think about. Very, very valuable, the top secret program that you get when you're a subscriber to AutoCAD. So this is an example of the number of steps it would take you to do something in AutoCAD. This is with AutoCAD Architecture, where once again, if you're drawing walls and just inserting a window, right? You're drawing a polyline, you're offsetting it, and then you can extrude it if you want to do it in 3D, although you probably aren't going to do it in 3D if it's just regular AutoCAD. You insert that window block and then you get to trim it out, right? You guys have been doing it forever. But if you do it in AutoCAD Architecture, right, you draw a wall. Then you tell it the size window you want, and then you insert the window. And it clips everything out for you, and it's all done in 3D, and it's a beautiful thing. Oh, you know what else I love? You decide you don't want that window anymore. Guess what? It can reheal that wall. Hello, that's kind of nice. Just saying. All right, what else have we got? The benefits. So I'm going to show you 3 summaries. I'm not going to go into them. There's a lot of text on these slides. I'm not a big fan of slides with a lot of text. And if you ever take a class from me, I'll tell you this is too much text. But these are from Autodesk, and these slides are from Autodesk, and I do like the fact that they did do some studies. So this is AutoCAD Architecture doing a basic floor plan. You can see on here, and basic AutoCAD, something that took 1,000 hours, that's a lot of hours, is down to 400 hours in AutoCAD Architecture, in the architecture tool set, as they call it now. And you can see some actual values on the side, like floor plans took half as long, elevations, well, since the elevations are coming off, are being pulled off of the model, they take less time, and so on and so forth. And let me just say, if it was AutoCAD to Revit, this would be even more dramatic for those of you thinking about moving to Revit. And then here's an example of electrical. Now, according to Autodesk, it's basically, it looks like your job's going to be done for you if you're an AutoCAD Electrical. Significant time savings. Now, I will tell you, this is only if you're all in, though, to these software products. You have to use their workflows. You can't just use it the way you did AutoCAD, otherwise it's not going to make any difference. So you have to really use it the way it's supposed to be used. Like, I would take a class, I would go to Microsol, I would take a class so you know how to do it properly. Otherwise, you will not see the benefits. And here's for those of you, I know we have a very small audience of mechanical, so I won't spend much time on this, but just realize, same idea. All of these will save you time if you're all in, using the product the way it's supposed to be used. Take a class. And last but not least, let's see how my timing is going. Pretty good. All right. So, of course, we're moving forward. We're not all using desktops. We have tablets. We have phones. We want to be able. We're on the go. You're on the go. So AutoCAD now works across many different platforms. There's a web app. And so let's say you're at somebody's office and they don't have AutoCAD, but you want to pull it up and make a couple of minor changes. I'm going to go over to here. If you type in web.autocad.com, even if you're not a subscriber instantly, you can go to web.autocad.com. You can do some basic stuff. And you will see that you can open any of the files that you have saved with your Autodesk account. Now, I'm just going to open up one of these sample files because I like dogs. I'm opening the incredibly complex doghouse plans. But you can see here I have an AutoCAD drawing file. You can open up any AutoCAD drawing file, and you can look at different layouts. You can see on here, looks like layout 1 and layout 2. Are they the same? No, not exactly the same. And then you'll see on here that there's layers. You can turn layers on and off if you want to. Turn off that dimension layer, for example. And you have some basic tools. You have some basic draw tools, some annotate tools, some modify tools. Is this AutoCAD as we know it? No, it's very limited, but it's a cloud application. And so it is just going to continue to be developed more and more. I mean, in the perfect world, eventually it would have maybe not all the tools AutoCAD has, but enough so you could very successfully draw in this mode. So keep an eye out for this. This is available to you. There's more things you can do in here if you're a subscriber versus if you're not, but nevertheless, that's web.autocad.com. AutoCAD on the go. You're not going to want to throw away your AutoCAD, but nevertheless, it's another option. And sometimes we need extra options. And then there's the AutoCAD mobile app. All right, you can't see me right now, but imagine I do actually have my tablet here, and I need to go on site to check some things out. I want to be able to do some markups. I want to verify that my AutoCAD drawing file is what's being built, whatever the scenario is. And you can take your AutoCAD drawings with you, save a few trees. You don't have to print everything out. You can actually take your AutoCAD drawing files with you, and that's part of the mobile app. You'll want to make sure that you have them on, well, you can actually also get to them from Dropbox and so on and so forth, but you want to have them saved with your account so you can open them and you can do some basic markups and you can do some measurements. There's a lot of things you can do. One of my favorite things you can do with the tablet is it has GPS built into it. So you can actually drop a pin into your drawing file where you happen to be standing, so that as you're walking around, AutoCAD knows where you are in your drawing file. Now that is crazy. All right, that's pretty crazy. So a lot of opportunity there. And you can mark things up here, and then you go back into the office and you can upload those. You saw I showed you those two tools. Is that my next slide? It is. There's the save to WEBMobile, and there's the open from WEBMobile, so that you can then open up the markups that you did and then make changes accordingly. So, and I have those two tools highlighted here on the screen. And now a couple of things. So there were some CAD managers who did not want that save and open to and from WEBMobile to be on the quick access toolbar. And so you will see that with the CAD manager utility, you have the ability to disable that if you want to. Just letting you know, if you're not going to be using it, you can just, or if it's caused you grief, you can definitely disable that. And then the other thing, the good news is, for those of you who are using it, it didn't really handle XREFs in the past, but now it does. And that's extremely important, because so many of us live in the world of XREFs, right? Everything's XREF'd in. So you should have a better experience with it, for those of you who've tried it. Okay, so basically saved AutoCAD WEBMobile, so you can be out in the field and then open from AutoCAD WEBMobile. And that is it.